I was Steve White, Trek Boy 89 for Steve Arts 89. Well, some Star Trek news and some positive news. Nothing to do with Section 31. Basically, GLAAD has announced the awards for the year, and Star Trek Discovery has been nominated again for not the fifth year in a row, I don't think, but the fifth time, basically for each season, each 5 seasons. It's nominated for Best Drama Series, and it's going up against 911 Lone Star, Arcane, The Shield, Doctor Who, Found, Heartbreak High, Interview with the Vampire, Umbrella Academy, and Wicked City. I haven't seen half of those shows. I don't know what the representation is like on them. But one thing that Star Trek Discovery and New Trek in general has been pretty consistent with is gay representation, because one of the criticisms with the original Star Trek is they never had any gay characters, and it makes me sad that the original Star Trek universe, none of the episodes in that had any gay characters, unless you count Hawk, because but that's about it. So the issue was, the networks didn't want to show gay characters because they thought it would alienate people, and Star Trek, because there was no discrimination in the future, they'd have no reasons to feature a gay character or a gay storyline on that level, but they could have just had a gay character just being, in the crew and being gay and it not being an issue. That was always the argument. For Discovery, they had a gay couple, but then they killed one of them right away and buried the gay, basically. And apparently GLAAD had a word to them, because they brought him back in a ridiculous way, but he did bring him back. So we had a gay couple again, and then they introduced a trans character and sort of another trans-like character in their relationship, and it's been good for representation, but it's not good how they've done it. Like, in the future there wouldn't be any issues, so scenes like God, I forgot the name of the character. I've slowly sort of pushed Discovery out of my memory, and it's like so what's the name of that character? I know there's a trans character. They're explaining to their friend, the other Starfleet officer, that they are them. They're not a he or she, and explaining that to him like someone in the 23rd, 24th century, 22nd century, whatever, 21st century would have to be explained, to them. That's it just wouldn't be a thing. There's no way in the 22nd century, I think, is where they're at this point. No, they're in the 31st century at that point. Yes, it's even more ridiculous. In the 31st century, they're saying that someone would have to feel the need to explain to someone from the 22nd century that, they're non-binary. And that was just ridiculous and awkward. Now, clearly doing it for the audience as an education thing, and it's like, it doesn't fit in universe, it's forced, and it brings attention to itself, and it just makes the job of the bigots easier, because you're giving them ammo by just having a trans character there is enough. You don't have to make the story all about them, and they just did it wrong. They just basically said in the future we're still going to have the same problem. Trans people are still going to be uncomfortable and have to explain themselves to people, where in the 31st century and even the 22nd century it wouldn't be an issue. They wouldn't need to explain it, and they wouldn't feel apprehensive about addressing it or anything. So that portrayal of Star Trek was bad, but their portrayal of the trans character is not actually bad in and of itself, or the gay couple in and of itself. It's just how they fit them into the Star Trek world doesn't work, because it's too obviously trying to promote our current sort of issues and agendas, and it doesn't fit with where we would be in the future with Star Trek. So that's my criticism, and it has been my criticism the whole time. But at the same time, I have to acknowledge the actual representation is there, even if they've done a bad job of how they've positioned it in the Star Trek world, and how these characters operate in that. But the representation is there, the diversity is there, and they have listened to the critics and brought the character back after killing him, and they have not backed down on the representation when they've got all these chuds attacking them, because they wouldn't win anyway, because even if they took the gay characters out, they'd still find ways to hate Star Trek because it's got a female lead and a black female lead, and just they don't like, progressive things. They don't like woke, and Star Trek defined woke. It created woke as far as the TV landscape goes. So they'd never be happy. So you can't make them happy. So you just have to do your own thing and have integrity and not care what the critics say, because there's always going to be haters and racists and bigots that are always going to attack something like that. And as long as the rest of the show and the performances are great, you will be fine. It's when there's other issues that they can latch onto and criticize them because they really just want to trash the show for their, other issues. That's where you get into trouble. And Discovery gave them plenty to trash it for without having to address the issues that they really, had with the show. So it's been good and bad, but overall, I'm glad the representation is being recognised.